What's up, guys? I want to do a bit of a quick book review today. And a couple of weeks back, maybe 3 weeks back, I read this book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Frank Bedker. You can see it here. This is a very good book. First of all, it's a sales book, and don't click off the video yet. I know you're probably thinking, sales. I'm not a salesperson. No, I hate sales, and I get it. I get it. Sales is not something that a lot of people want to do. Most people don't want to do sales. But to be realistic here, everyone's in sales. Everyone has to communicate with other people. So it's a very good communication book when it comes to it's really about the mindset, right? It's really about the mindset behind becoming a killer. I guess not salesperson, but becoming like successful, right? Like raising yourself from being a failure to success, which is the best part of it, right? And he talks about it. He talks about how he had low confidence. He was a failure at 29 years old. He was broke. He was a complete failure. You know, um, like if you saw him at 29, you probably would have thought this guy is not going to amount to anything, right? And he ended up becoming a very successful salesman in the insurance industry. Yeah, it was in the insurance industry. And by 40, he was worth in the millions, right? He was a multimillionaire. And this is this is something that you need to like read. He used to be like a baseball player, I think for the St. Louis Cardinals. And yeah, he was a failure, but he ended up changing things from the book. And the takeaways that I got from the book, right, is he talked about like small things, right? Like enthusiasm, right? Changing your enthusiasm towards the work. And it sounds like pretty obvious at first, like yeah, changing your enthusiasm. But I think he means like change your enthusiasm, like because energy is contagious, right? If you have like a low, like negative energy, like oh I don't feel, and you're bitching, complaining all the time. Imagine the people around you. They're gonna feel that energy, and they're not gonna take you seriously. They're not gonna want to do business with you. They're not gonna want to hire you for a job if that's what you're looking for. That's not what they're gonna want to do. But if you're that guy that maybe you don't have it yet, but you're still working on it, you're still figuring it out, and you give off that energy like I'm I got this, or I'll figure it out. I'll eventually get it. That energy is contagious. People are going to feel it. People are going to be able to tell that this guy is going somewhere or this guy's working towards something, right? And I think that's what he means by having enthusiasm with it, right? Obviously, he talked about this from a sales perspective, but I'm talking about this from in general, right? That's at least a takeaway that I got from it, right? And he would talk about things like dressing sharper, dressing better. I know I'm not doing that right now. Maybe I'm violating it, but basically, yeah, when you're selling, like when I leave the house, if I'm doing door-to-door sales or I'm going to like a networking event or I'm going to a BNI or Chambers of Commerce event, any sort of event that would benefit my business, I make sure I dress really sharp. I make sure I dress really well because I want to leave a good impression on people because people do judge books by its covers. I know people say don't judge a book by its cover, but unfortunately, people do judge books by their covers. So if you're dressed like a bum, like I don't dress like this when I'm going to places. I do shower, I dress decently nice, right? If I'm going somewhere where I need to be presentable, I do dress nice. But you need to be very aware of that, right? Another thing that I learned from the book. Oh damn, it's been a while since I've read it. So, well, it's only been like 3 weeks, but 3 weeks feels like a long time, right? He talks about showing a lot of things overlap with when friends and influence people. But another thing that I got from it is if you meet someone else who's like, say, I'm going to think of it from a sales perspective. Say you're meeting someone in sales, right? You're meeting someone, maybe you're doing door to door sales, and the you meet one of the employees of the company that you're selling to. Maybe the owner is occupied, so you're dealing with one of the employees. Well, why not treat the employee with respect? Why not be nice to the employee, right? You're going to think, oh, but that guy's like a subordinate. Like, why should I take him seriously? I think you should take him seriously because that guy might make or break your sale. If you maybe dismiss him, you see him as someone inferior, what's going to happen is he's going to feel that. He's going to feel disrespected. And maybe the boss is going to ask him, hey, what'd you think of that guy? Should I do this deal with him? And the employee might be like, no, I didn't get a good feeling from him. I don't think you should. And that might lose you an opportunity. But if you go in and you show complete respect for that guy, right? You show him respect, you show him mutual respect. Maybe you build rapport with him, whatever it is, right? But you meet him, he's nice, whatever. You treat him like a human being, right? You treat him like you're a respectful human being. He gets a good impression on you. Then there's a situation that it's him and the boss talking, and the boss is like, what do you think? Should I do this deal? What do you think? And the employee tells him, yeah, you should do that. I really like that guy. That guy gave me a really good impression about him. And now you just made a sale because you treated that other person with respect, right? And he talks about that in the book. And this is not even just a sales thing, right? I do think you do need to treat other people with respect, right? Of course, as long as within reason. Like if someone's being a douche to you, that's not what I mean. I mean in general, you should be treating people with respect, right? And because you don't know how much power that person has. You don't know who that person is, right? Like you really don't know who they are. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they're working on, right? Because today's janitor could be tomorrow's successful CEO, right? So you don't know that. And this is funny. I'm going to reference another book, but in the 48 Laws of Power, one of the laws, he talks about be careful who you're dealing with, or know who you're dealing with. Don't offend the wrong person. And this is true because you don't know who the person you're dealing with is going to become, right? And I think this is something that people often overlook, right? That people think that power is dynamic. I mean, people think that power is static, like what the person is today, they're always going to be, which is not always the case. Many times, that person might feel slighted or disrespected, and that might inspire them to work their nuts off and become someone more powerful, right? And so I don't veer off to another subject. Basically, if you take what I learned from this book, I would just keep myself respectful of others, right? Because you don't know. You really don't know. You don't know who that waiter is going to become at the restaurant. So just be very aware of that. And to be honest, that person, that employee, could make or break your sale. So you have to really think about that, right? And yeah, that's one thing, right? Another thing, right, that I learned from the book. I'm trying to remember one more point, but you have to be able to you have to be able to you have to be able to focus on, he uses a baseball analogy, and this is something that I'm focusing on, so sales is obviously not an easy thing to do, right? So when you think of sales, I know sales is very results based, but to get good at sales, I think it's very counterintuitive to think about the results, because when you think of the results, especially if you're striking out, you're losing a lot, you're not getting the sale. The thing that can screw you up is it kills your confidence. That's the thing. It's going to destroy your confidence if you're not getting the results. It's going to frustrate you. So he mentions to focus more on the performance. I've heard other salesmen say this too, like big sales guys in the industry. say this very well, and I completely agree with them. They say focus on your performance, right? Focus on how you did. Focus on getting on first base. Obviously, he was a baseball player, so he uses a lot of baseball terminologies. And he talked about how the leading hitter on his team once was always the leading hitter, which was the first guy to bat on the lineup, because he had a high percentage of getting on base. Maybe he didn't hit home runs, maybe he didn't hit a lot of big shots out of the ballpark. He just got on base a lot, right? And because he got on base, he had a high scoring percentage, right? And that's the thing. If he gets on base, he's going to score more often. That's just simple as that. You have a higher percentage, higher chance of scoring if you're on base. And he relates this back to sales, right? Before you focus on anything else, right? Instead of focusing on the sale, instead of focusing on the home run, on the score, focus on getting on base. And in the sales perspective, why don't you focus on getting onto a call with this person? Get this person on one call. You don't have to sell to them. You don't have to convince them. Don't try to ask them for money yet. Don't worry about that. Just worry about getting them on the call, because that's part of the battle, right? Then you can worry about closing later on, but you want to focus on just getting that person on base. And the reason why he says that, because it's very small, and it also helps you get better at that skill of communicating your value and telling this person why they should go on a call with you. What's in it for them to get on a call with you, right? And I know he didn't say it exactly like that, but that's a very useful insight that I got from it, right? Because I thought of it from my own perspective, right? Because yeah, I get people on calls. That's something that I want to focus on, is getting more people on calls, getting more, not even the sale itself. Obviously the sale's nice, but it's more about getting small wins, right? And that builds confidence, that builds momentum. And with that momentum, that's when you're unstoppable, right? And I think momentum is the hardest part, because it feels like you're pushing it upstream. So those little wins right there help a lot increase your chances of scoring. If you're getting on base more often, in this case, if you're getting on sales calls more often, you might strike out a lot, but you also will score a lot more than if you're not getting discovery calls. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed. I highly recommend you guys get this book. It's not too long of a book. And yeah, take care. I'm going to keep creating more content. Bye-bye.